Hi everyone, welcome along. We're going to go into what I call perhaps a live streamed portion of this particular session first. And for the people who'd rather just be off camera for that, more than welcome to, but we'll have plenty of time for Q&A to share experiences and that once we get rolling. So the first part of the session, I'll pretty much just introduce a topic and run through this theme of reincarnation. And I'll also take us through a couple of, or at least one visualized activity, plus I'll also channel on the subject as well. And then probably about midway through, I'll end the live stream, and then we'll go into some sharing, some Q&A, and just get to know each other a little bit more. So I'm just aware there's a few more people logging in to the session, to the live session. And look, anyone who's out there who's watching this either live or through the recordings, if you'd like to be part of the interactive group that we have here, you can either find me on Patreon, go to patreon.com and see spiritualonline.org on there, or just go to my website and book into the sessions through there as well. But we're building up a lovely online community here. And the vision for this too, for anyone who's out there, is I'm looking to develop a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week online streaming platform for spirituality across the world. So if that concept seems like an interesting one to you, then get in contact with me. It's a team that I'd like to build up over, it's like a 10-year plan, I guess, but the world certainly needs more of this. And for people out there who are seeking a spiritual path, to interact with like-minded people who have a variety of experiences, wisdom, knowledge, etc. It'd be really good to just to put that team together. All right, so I'm just going to keep an eye on my background music here. I'm just going to switch it over, and then we will go into this theme of reincarnation, which is a big one. Okay. So one thing I'd like to do, because I'll channel part of this too, it's important for me personally to prepare the space in which I do this. And I'll also be inviting each of you to enter into a meditative part of this session at some point. And you probably have your own, let's say, spiritual experience within that, particularly if you do meditate regularly, you'll be able to enter in quite fluidly, I would suspect. So I will do that right now. So great divine spirit, we ask that you shine your light, your love, your wisdom, your protection upon our group at this time. We give acknowledgement to the presence of our angels and archangels, our spiritual guides, and other divine celestial helpers who wish to serve with us at this time. And we also can appeal to our own personal gatekeepers to protect the space in which we physically sit. And we ask that any impressions, any spiritual experiences that we may enjoy during this session come only from a divine source that serve only our highest good. And if you can hold that thought within your own minds, then you'll be protected, and you can filter out any other unwanted interferences from what we're about to enjoy. Okay, so I want to go right back to the very basics of reincarnation, and then we're going to take it to a very different place from what some of you may be expecting, and we'll try and explore a few things in between as well. So the first thing, one thing most of us agree on, is the theme of incarnation as distinct from reincarnation. So the fact that we are here having a conscious experience, communicating with each other, living with our friends, loved ones, working, eating, living, breathing, you name it. We have incarnated here. We have grown and awakened and are conscious here on the earth plane. Now, some people would then take the point of view, well, have we really incarnated? Is this just an illusion? And is it just like a dream? Well, I will take that point of view from a different perspective a little bit more deeply in the session. But let's just say, for example, if we physically slept each other, we will definitely feel it. We will definitely experience it. So there is at least some aspect of reality to being incarnated in the way that we are right now. Okay. Where the perspective comes into place, though, is that our outer senses inform us that what we see of ourselves physically, what we see of each other externally, informs us that that's all there is. And our lack of memory from any past lives that we may have had, for most of us, is just not there. So most of us are sort of perhaps deceived or conditioned into thinking that this life is it. There is nothing before. There is nothing after it. And any idea of having soul senses or spiritual senses to connect to something higher, most of us generally are conditioned into believing that there is just nothing more. And Western culture hasn't really helped us too well in this regard. So in terms of the belief of reincarnation, it is up until recently, it was quite uncommon in Western culture to entertain that idea. And religions have had a lot to do with this, and it's Christianity turned on its head, unfortunately. So the Christian belief here is that we basically get born here, we die, then we go to purgatory or heaven or hell, and that's pretty much it. And so many unanswered questions, so many experiences that people have that just cannot be explained or rationalized or truthfully addressed fully by religion. And my initial question to people in religion was, well, how do you then account for, if you look at eternity, which is a very long time that we can't even presume, billions of years, if you take a child or a baby that's incarnated into this world, has lived only a matter of minutes, and then it passes away for whatever circumstances, is that it? Is that the meaning of its whole life? How do you explain the rest of it? So just on that level itself, it begs the question, well, what is life itself? And what is before life? And what is after it? And for anyone who does have a very strong Christian background is still asking the question, well, can reincarnation be real? Well, it's answered within Christianity itself, because in the words of Jesus, he was asked about is he the one that was meant to come, and he said, well, look, I couldn't have come if it wasn't for John the Baptist, and he was Elijah. Until Elijah returns, then I couldn't be here. So there's a clear reference there that John the Baptist was a reincarnated version of Elijah, who was a very prominent figure in the Book of Kings in the Old Testament. So within Christianity itself, the theme of reincarnation is there. It was specifically spoken, but is usually ironed out or ignored within the doctrines of Christianity, basically to disempower us, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm just going to take this to another little perspective now. So a lot of what we do know about reincarnation has come from a lot of practitioners who actually practice past life regressions. And past life regressions, I know there's people on the platform here who have experienced a few of those, and some who have experienced just past life experiences through their own meditation. And we're going to go into that very soon. But there's quite a number of books published out there, Brian Weiss, and others who've put together many case studies and found common themes of what happens for the thread of life that we experience through our whole biography. When I say biography, I mean over thousands and thousands and potentially millions of years. So I'm going to get everyone to close their eyes for a minute. I want to go into like a visualization of where we're coming from here.
Roger, do you mind if I just quickly tell you they can't get in for some reason?
Okay, so are you able to send her a copy of the link?
She's got that. She's got the numbers, but she can't get in. So maybe from your end, check.
Now. She just got in.
She's in. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
All right. So just as Dee's logging in, we're going to go into an experiential part of this. I feel I need to put you into a different zone rather than just listening to me speak. Oh, here comes Chip as well. I'll let Chip get in. All right. So for the people who've just joined us, I am live streaming the first part of this, and we're going to go into a deeper zone, so I can present from a different zone. So we're going to close our eyes. And just aware of where we are right now, sitting in our seat in the part of the world that we're in. And to begin with, just identify whereabouts in your physical body you are. Whereabouts in your body are you? Where is the point of consciousness within you? And from that point or that seat of consciousness, then discern the difference between that point and the rest of your body. For example, are you directly in your feet? Are you directly in your hands? Or is there a point within your head that is perhaps slightly remote from the extremities of your physical body? I think most of you will conclude there is a point in your head that is slightly remote. So in saying so, if you are not directly conscious within your hands and feet, then you are not fully incarnated into the complete organism of the human body. And that isn't a bad thing, as we're going to get to shortly. Okay. Now, a few other scientific facts before we go a little bit further is that where is memory housed and where is the mind? Now, you have a physical brain, of course, which is like a processing unit, but there has been studies done of out-of-body experiences from people who've been clinically dead in surgical theatres undergoing operations where they've been monitored for brain activity. And when these people have returned from the operation during the period that they were supposedly clinically dead with no brain functioning, they were able to describe what was in the operating theatre without ever being in there in a conscious state. And they were even able to record and remember conversations that were held between people who were in it. So our mind must reside in part outside of the physical brain, because if the physical brain is inactive, then where is the activity? It must be outside of it. So therefore, there is part of us that is not fully incarnated into our physical body, but it is in some way energetically connected with it. Now just be aware of the space, the periphery of your physical body, and then be aware of the light space, as we could say, around the outside of it, and even just in front of you. And if you've meditated a bit, and you can go into a meditation zone quite quickly, you'll be able to perceive that you are sitting at the core of like an energetic bubble, of which your physical body is only part of it. And this vessel, this energetic field that is around your physical body and within it, is a vessel which can transport you not only through time, but through space as well. Now, your physical body helps you transport you through earthly three-dimensional space, but there is an aspect of your, call it your higher mind, that can transport you through higher space, through interdimensional space. Now, if you can hold the picture of this energy field around you, which is a higher vehicle, it is a vehicle for higher dimensional experience. It is also a vehicle for travel consciously through time. Now I'm going to go, we'll go from the point of being born as an infant. Our first conscious recollections are generally not until about the age of 3. But we are physically born, and our physical birth is one thing. But then for the birth of what is referred to as our etheric body, which I'll speak to a little bit more detail as we go, takes about 7 years. That's our life force, our whole chi force, to be integrated into a physical body, for it to emerge, for it to mature, for it to do the preparation required for us then, as from our mid-childhood into adulthood, to have the physical vehicle. So we have this etheric body, which comes in part with our physical body, but then has to emerge and mature. Then we also have our astral body, our feelings, our awareness of our emotions, our emotional intelligence, which then emerges in a more mature form through our adolescence and then into our adulthood. And then on top of that, our actual spirituality, our higher spiritual consciousness. So we have a number of layers to actually being incarnated here. And they're integrated into this energy sphere that is around you. Now just imagine this energy sphere traveling through your life. Many things happen to it. We learn how to look after it. In some cases, our frequency drops and all sorts of things happen on this particular life journey. Whilst we're on this life journey as well, we may have recollections. We may have déjà vus. We may have experiences that we've been somewhere before, done something before, met someone before. But we'll come back to these concepts a little bit later. And then we get to the point of our end of physical life. And for most people, this is a terrible event when we essentially die. But all that happens really is that our physical body is released and returned to the quantum field of three-dimensional Earth, whilst our etheric body, which houses our memory, our astral body, which houses most of our experiences of emotions and our interactions with loved ones, etc. And then our higher spirit, or our higher ego, which stays with us eternally and remains connected through free will, if we choose, to the high spirit. And it leaves the quantum field of this earth. And as many people have had near-death experiences record or recount, and anyone who has past life regressions recount, that at this point we have recollections of all of our experiences of the life behind us, of the way we've affected other people, of things we've learnt, things we could have done better, regrets, etc. And then there is a process where we move beyond that, where our etheric body may also be released. And that we then, if we choose and if we are prepared, we can go on a much higher journey. And it is said the more perhaps higher frequency or more spirituality that you have manifested through free will into your being, into your energy body, the more places and higher places you are able to travel at this point beyond death. And as you are able to have more spiritual experiences in a conscious state beyond death, the more diverse preparation you may receive for your next earthly encounter. And once the soul has gone through sufficient preparation, or the ideal preparation that it needs to perhaps heal from its previous life, to then consider what is then preferred for its conscious evolution, and then the next phase of life planning, the next life planning will take part. We can consider the kind of family that our soul would need to incarnate through for its next set of experiences, the people that we're around, the life lessons, the things that perhaps we need to experience to make amends for what we were unable to do in a previous life, simply to evolve the strength of our character in a world, a unique world called Earth, that has free will, but also has the challenges of a lower density, of a more density. And so preparations are made, and then consider yourself in your life bubble, in your energy bubble, and you're going to transfer or transport this life bubble from the spiritual world into that of physical Earth. And initially there may be a connection, energetic connection made to a potential mother and family. And then if circumstances align, and if the decision-making process and the transfer process is sufficient, then essentially a download of your energy into utero will commence. But if we consider the size and scope of your energy field and what it is potentially incarnating into physically, you'll suddenly realize that the capacity of the physicality does not align to that of your vast energy field. So the process of incarnation or reincarnation is a steady one. It is a gradual one. And there is also perhaps limitations as to what, let's refer to them as spiritual apps that you can download into this physical body. So choices need to be made, because human beings, ourselves in a physical state, are still very much evolving to develop the capacity to incarnate fully, to incarnate not only our soul, but then to develop the capacity of the soul for our higher self and full spiritual realization to occur on a physical world. It is a big job. So part of the purpose of reincarnation is for the evolution of the human race, and the evolution of it to be able to house and incarnate high spiritual frequency. Now the question is why? Why? And then we have to take a step even higher and accept, perhaps you can debate, but perhaps accept that there is a high creative intelligent force, call it source, that prevails throughout the universe. And at some point source was in a non-physical form, but gradually was able to manifest from pure energy, pure consciousness, into a physical state, and therefore wanted to experience conscious life in these physical states. And it is said that in our galaxy, that Mother Earth is one of the planets with the highest density, which means a greater physical experience or potential for physical experience. And the richness and the depths of the jewel of our planet Earth is potentially a wonderful place to incarnate and to have experiences and awakenings in a physical world that we cannot otherwise experience in a spiritual state. And the other wonderful thing that is supposedly prevalent here on Mother Earth is that of free will, that humans have free will, where many of the hierarchies, the angelic realms in particular, the will is to serve that of the divine source, the divine creator. But we have been granted free will in this place. So here we are at this point of looking at reincarnating back on to this jewel of Mother Earth, which involves us transcending from a high frequency into that of considerable density, and being able to stream high consciousness into physical matter. It's quite a miracle, and such a miracle takes a long time for it to manifest or to realize into full spiritual capacity. So we have chosen to come down once more, and part of our increasing our vibration or increasing our capacity is to essentially combat the frequencies of a material world to a point where the higher frequencies of light and selflessness can overcome it. And for this reason alone, at this point in time, Earth is such a point of galactic attention, of galactic focus, to seeing the plight of humanity that has incarnated into the depths of a very dense planet with free will. And then is the free will and the strength of the character of humanity or our individual souls sufficient to bring light, to bring spiritual realization into a material world through our own free will? And then for Mother Earth to ascend and for us to ascend with it. And perhaps very fortunate for us, we're not alone in this venture. So as part of this descent into this world that we choose to have our worldly experiences, the wonder of what we can experience on Earth, and some of the pleasures that we can have on Earth that we are unable to have in the spiritual world, and apparently sex is one of those. And so we are choosing to incarnate once more. And we have certain energy fields and timelines that we have, and constructs that we are able to engineer before coming here. We have certain signposts and turning points. And within our energy field itself, we are able to either attract or deflect experiences as we need them or otherwise. But it is perhaps a deadly mission, a tricky one, to come down and negotiate the environmental challenges of life upon Earth, because no one who is going to incarnate next week has ever incarnated into that particular point in time, into that particular personality, into that particular configuration of a family, and the whole social configuration of the world at that time. It is something new. But a safety nets are placed there for us. And again, we'll descend into this world. Some of us will have different plans, different purposes, different experiences, and the opportunity, if we wish, to self-realize ourselves in a material world. And at the end of this world, again, we get to upload and progressively upload our experiences back to the divine source, which is an intelligent, responsive, abundant, love-filled aspect of all. Okay, now I've talked for a little bit, and some of what I said was partially channeled, but I want to go into perhaps a slightly deeper zone myself and see if I can make a direct connection to one of our guides. So you may help me do this. So just have a sip of water here first of all. And for everyone who's been on here before, I do this very quickly, but I'm going to do a chakra opening exercise, which helps me connect and send a message out to my guides that I'm here and can connect more directly. So just above our heads, but above your head is your crown chakra, and this is the portal through which we can connect with the great oneness. And we just imagine that there is a flow coming down from the great universe down through this portal, through the top of our head, down through our body, deep into Mother Earth, right through her heart center, back up through our feet, back up through our body, back up through our crown, back up into the big wide universe in this perpetual flow. Just go to our third eye now, which is seated right in the center of your head, and imagine that we are open to receiving psychic, clairvoyant, spiritual impressions, dreams, intuitions, to have clarity of thought, to have right thinking. And we're just activating through our intentions that ability a little bit more profoundly. Just moving down to our throat area now, just the point inside our larynx. And as if I'm opening up the doorway to have wisdom infused into the words that I speak, to connect with the divine spoken word. Down to our heart chakras now, double chakra. And breathing in, imagine that you're connecting with divine source, with the love of all of our spiritual guardians and ancestors. Allowing it to pour into the core of your heart. Instead of having the frequencies of our physical earth in the breath that you breathe circulating through you, imagine that you've got divine love circulating through you from your heart. And the breath that you're breathing in, imagine that you're breathing in light, pure spiritual light. Down to our solar plexus, a portal of yellow light through which our higher self may enter more fully if the frequencies are appropriate for it. So I'm imagining now that I'm sitting in my own holy sacred temple, and it is a divine space of purity, of humility and reverence, and allowing my higher self to enter more fully in. Okay, going down to our sacral chakra, connecting up more consciously to our emotional layers, to our creativity, and perhaps to some aspects of our lower nature that we should be more aware of. And down to our base chakra, breathing in pure life force through your base chakra, so that we emerge from fight and flight through the survival into abundance, into life force, into connecting with our Earth Mother, connecting with courage, and allowing that courage and that life force to feed up through our creativity of our sacral, giving strength into our higher self at our solar plexus, warming that through the warmth of creation, taking it up into our spoken word and our expression, taking love and higher sense of purpose into our clairvoyant abilities, and then reconnecting that back up to the great oneness. Okay, and I'm just going to speak a few words that are just coming through now, and then hopefully this will link into a free flow. And I'm also seeing multiple symbols here, including the sign of a cross, but there's other symbols coming in as well. There's an ankh cross as well. There's other forms. My friends, consider yourselves as a divine portal or field of divinity and purity, which has condensed initially in the spiritual fields or the spiritual heights, and then descended gradually and condensed into your physical world. And there's aspects of this bubble which enable you to descend into matter, to have earthly experiences. But then, like a bungee cord, there are safeguards in there for your soul, that you can be re-extracted from the earth at any moment in time, as discerned by your higher guardians, and indeed in consultation with your higher self. So the first message here is that you are not alone, and that your descent into earthly life is one that has numerous safeguards and controls over it. And the second message here is the parallel between a bungee jump and your life descent. And if you consider what a bungee jump is, it is an experience where you descend from a high place, reach to the depths of a low place, experiencing a number of things, including the adrenaline rush of being alive, before eventually bouncing and ultimately returning to your place of choice. And so your descent into earth has a parallel meaning of one of experiences, one of understanding on a personal level, but also enabling like experiences for your brethren and sisters. But then ultimately taking these experiences and uploading them back to source, because you, through this bubble of spirituality, are indeed an extension of source. And you have been granted a drop of your own free will or of your own ego as such, to fly and to pilot and to navigate your own experiences through not just this life, but through many lives, not just through this earth, but potentially many worlds and potentially many earths in different configurations. And all that you have is your conscious realizations. And life can happen to you in spades with great intensity. But unless you pay attention to it, to apply your consciousness to understand it, it is otherwise just light entertainment, and little has been attained. So part of your purpose in your incarnation and repeated incarnations is to be very conscious, very awake, and very alert to your time incarnated into matter. And to cut a long story short, metaphorically, the sooner you glean and develop these experiences, the shorter your necessary time on earth will be. And you may speed up the process through merely accelerating your conscious awareness of all that is here in this place. And some of you come here simply to experience and simply to develop the capacity of your soul and spirit to incarnate here. And some of you have come here for higher purposes, the light workers as such. And for you, the processes of achieving that become slightly more complex, because here the awareness of previous lives and also previous experiences within your present life can cause perhaps blockages or hindrances or energetic resistances to you fulfilling your purpose here now. So there is a case for you, for some of you at least, to readdress blockages in your current life and use that as a stepping stone for self-healing, for self-realization, so that you may lead a deeper, more purposeful life. To simply go fishing for past life experiences randomly is really just another trip to the movies as such, or another source of entertainment. So what we are saying to you is everything that you have experienced, you have access to in your part of the Akashic record. But to make use of that is to be very focused and very direct on the issues that are holding you back right now, and then using the ability and the techniques to heal, to reconcile, to understand, and then to move forward in your present incarnation, and then ultimately in your journey beyond this incarnation. So we'll leave this discourse here at this point, and then we'll go into a further experience of this in a short period of time. Okay, so we are going to just bring ourselves back into a waking state. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the live stream here. So I just run my little outro, but I'll still encourage people, if you'd love to be part of discussion and sharing on these kinds of themes, to find me on Patreon or through my website and join in. We'd love to have you aboard. So otherwise, we'll just give me a moment here, and we shall love you and leave you for now. But thank you.